Hi everybody, this is Dave Bensman with Bensman Home Computer Repair, and today I'd like to talk about what to do when you cannot get to your internet. So the first thing you want to do is you want to call your internet service provider, whoever that is. Those are the people that you pay for the internet. You should know who that is. In Memphis, that's going to be most likely either UVerse or Comcast. If you happen to be in Millington, Tennessee, then it might be Ritter. But you want to call them, and you really only need to ask them one thing, and that is there an outage in my area? Because if your whole block is out, then there's nothing you can do on your end to resolve that. Or if somebody came and cut a line or something, there's nothing you're going to be able to do to resolve that, and that can really generally be you know, figured out by your internet service provider in a couple of minutes. So after, resolving whether or not it's a internet outage that's in your area, then you can move on. If it is an outage, just, go read a book or something and wait for them to fix it. If they don't fix it in a day or two, call them up and yell at them, because a lot of these internet service providers only respond to abuse, unfortunately. If they determine that there's no internet outage and that they're able to communicate properly with your equipment, then it's most likely going to be something on your end, and here's how you would go about resolving it. First, I'd like to go over really quickly what the equipment is that you might have so that we can start from kind of a basic understanding here. So this is a Comcast gateway. A gateway is a modem and router in one. And if you're with Xfinity or Comcast and you're in the Memphis area, what you should have should look something like this. Although no matter where you are, your gateway is going to look very similar to this. It's going to be like a little box like this, usually sits upright, usually has these lights on the front, and on the back it's going to look like that. And it's going to have a coax cable coming in here. It's going to have a power cable coming in here. And it'll have maybe one or more Ethernet cables coming out of here. If you have UVerse phone, which is voice over IP, they'll be plugged into these guys right up there. Now, you may only have that. That's what a UVerse gateway looks like. It does the same thing, but if you have UVerse. So you may only have either the UVerse or the Comcast gateway. You may have no other equipment. And if that's the case, then your situation here is very simple. All you really have to do, the first thing you'd want to do is number one, reboot your computer. That means, turn it off, left click on the start button down here, left click on the power button, and left click on restart. And then the second thing you want to do is you want to reboot. If that does not resolve the issue, wait till your computer comes back up if you're still not on the internet, and you'll know whether you're on the internet. There will be a little symbol right here. If you're on Wi-Fi, it'll be these little waves. If you're wired, it'll be like a little picture of a computer with either a warning symbol on it, a yellow warning symbol, or it'll just not have that, which means you're on the internet. So if you're not on the internet after you reboot your computer, then you want to take your gateway and you want to pull the power out of that gateway. That's this plug right here. It may be in a different position on your gateway, but you want to pull the power out of the gateway and then wait for about 10 seconds and then plug it back in. And then you got to wait for about 2 minutes until all of the lights have a chance to come back on. And then once that happens, check to see down here if you're on the internet, and then open a browser, open Firefox or open Chrome or Internet Explorer, and see if you're on the internet. If at that point you're not on the internet, then you can open up Control Panel, and then you can go to Network and Sharing Center, and there's some other things you can do. You can go to where it says change adapter settings. These are all left clicks, by the way. And then you can see, if you notice, I don't have my Ethernet plugged in to my computer from my router. So there's an X right there. It says it says network cable unplugged. So you can check to see what's going on there. I have Wi-Fi on this computer, so if you can see green stair steps right there. So you can check there to see if that's okay. And if that's not okay, then you may be either connected to the wrong wireless network. That's possible. If you're connected to the wrong wireless network, you can go to connect or disconnect. And then right there, you can disconnect. Left click on that button and then pick a different wireless network. Sometimes people are connected to the wrong wireless networks, or sometimes you just need to re-enter your password. And when you reconnect to a wireless network, it'll ask you for your password and you can put that in. You can also go here to status and click on that, and that'll tell you the status of your wireless connection. Right now, it's saying I have internet connectivity and everything looks good. It's telling me which network the SSID is the name of your network. It's telling me which SSID I'm connected to, and it's telling me that I'm getting, everything's looking good. So if all this stuff looks good and you've rebooted everything, and this looks good up here, you're still not able to get to the internet, then you may have a problem either with your browser or with your operating system, and that may be reason to call a technician. Now, let's say that you have a router. So this is what a router looks like. There are lots of different brands. The main ones are Linksys and Netgear. And you may not be using just a gateway to get to the internet. So you may have a situation where there's an Ethernet cable coming out of one of the ports on the back of your gateway, and it is going to a port, this port specifically, on the back of your router. This is the internet port on the back of your router. And you would have maybe computers plugged into these ports that are labeled 1 through 4, but there would, as I said, be an Ethernet port coming out of the internet port and going to one of these 4 things on the back of your gateway. And that basically means that your wireless network is basically being broadcast by this router. And there's a good reason to have that be the case, and the reason is you do get increased security if you use a router, because it's basically includes a hardware firewall, and the bad guys have to hack that firewall before getting the opportunity to hack your operating system, let's say. So I strongly recommend people use routers. They're very helpful, and you can get a router that's a lot more powerful in terms of the Wi-Fi than your gateway. So if you do have a router and you have that connected to your gateway and you cannot get to the internet, then what you want to do is you want to reboot your network if you cannot get to the internet, after rebooting your computer, of course. And the way you do that is you unplug the power from the gateway, and you unplug the power, that's this guy right here, from the router. And you then reboot your computer and turn that back on. Then you got to plug the gateway in first, that's the power cable right there. And then after all the lights come on, usually takes a couple minutes, after all the lights come on the gateway, then you want to plug the power back into the router and then wait a couple of minutes. Then do all that checking that we talked about earlier to see if you're on the internet. Open a browser, maybe go to Control Panel, check Network and Sharing Center, check adapter settings, and then all you got to do is right click on whatever adapter you're using. If it's an Ethernet adapter or the Wi-Fi adapter, then you have access to connect and disconnect, status, and diagnose. And that most people should be able to handle. And if none of that gets you on the internet, then I would call a professional. and I can handle stuff like that. Just call Bensman Home Computer Repair or any professional that's in your area if you don't live in Memphis or the Memphis area. Well, that's how to get yourself back on the internet. My name's Dave Bensman with Bensman Home Computer Repair. If you have any computer repair needs, please feel free to give me a ring at 901-830-4362. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel that this is on. And if you know anybody who you feel might be well served by looking at this video, then please share that, and also like my videos. If you have any suggestions about topics I can cover in the future, please feel free to leave that information. Have a nice day, and as always, stay safe.